Hello everyone, and welcome to this information session about the Skilling SA Screen Industry Training Program. Before we begin, I would like to acknowledge that we're meeting on the land of the Kaurna people, and I pay my respects to Kaurna elders past, present and emerging, and I extend that respect to other First Nations people who may be joining with us today. So my name is Beth Neate, and I'm the Head of Production and Development at the South Australian Film Corporation, and I'm joined by my colleague Kath McIntyre, who is the Executive for Development and Industry Development. And we're really pleased to be talking about this skilling program today because, as many of you may have heard, South Australia is experiencing significant growth in the screen industry. We're in a production boom at the moment. And so that means there are opportunities for South Australians from adjacent industries to find jobs in the screen industry, and also for existing crew to upskill into areas of high demand. So Kath is the Program Manager for Skilling SA Screen Industry Training, and she is the expert. But I think to get started, Kath, it would be really interesting to hear about your own professional screen industry background.
Yeah, sure. So I've worked in the film and TV industry for over 20 years. I actually started in the camera department. I was an attachment. I got a South Australian Film Corporation attachment, and that's how I started my career. And then I worked as an assistant director for a long time on lots of different films and TV series. And then I worked in the documentary sector as a director and producer. So the Skilling SA program, to me, I absolutely can see the benefit and where the growth is in the industry, and it's really, really exciting. Yeah.
And the Skilling SA program has been supported by the Government of South Australia through the Department of Innovation and Skills, and we want to thank our counterparts in DIS who really helped us to put this program together.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, Kath, do you want to sort of introduce to us what is the Skilling SA training program for screen?
Okay, so we will be supporting up to 50 people to train in new career paths that we've identified where there are gaps in the industry at the moment, and we want to train 25 people who are upskilling from the industry. That might be people who are working in the industry at the moment, and they might they might be a third assistant and they want to become a second assistant. They want to climb up their department. Or they might be in a department at the moment, like they might be in the production office, but they want to re-skill into learning how to be an assistant director.
Okay.
So that's kind of for people who are in the industry. We also want to skill up 25 new people. So that can be people who are in adjacent industries with transferable skills. And those skills, they might be from the events or festivals, or they might be from hospitality, theatre, tourism, but they might have those skills that the film industry needs.
Great. And
we've identified 5 urgent gaps, and we've identified these gaps in consultation with the industry here. The heads of department have actually told us where the gaps are, and so they are production accountant. Okay, so the industry is desperate for production accountants. And so the skills you might need to be a production accountant, you might be a bookkeeper, or you might have worked in the financial industry, so that you would have the skills very much that could kind of translate into learning how to be a production accountant. Or an assistant director, you might come from the events or festival area, and you're used to managing people, managing a large amount of people. The assistant director is probably the person on set that might direct the extras, make sure that the schedule gets shot every day. They're the kind of person on set who's the liaison between set and the production office. Production office is also one of the gaps that we need. The skills you'd need for a production office is probably you've worked in admin in some way. You're a good person, you know all the Microsoft suites. Those skills would translate very well into the production office. I'll just say that the film industry is quite hierarchical. There's generally, there's a third assistant, there's a second assistant, and there's a first assistant, and there's everything in between. Some departments are bigger than others. So generally for this training, you'd probably come in as a third assistant. unless you're upskilling, and then you would climb through your department. The other gap we've got is camera department, and the skills that you might need is you might shoot corporate films or short films, or you're a budding camera videographer and you'd like to transfer those skills into the film industry. And the other department is the art department. Now that's probably one of the biggest departments in the film industry. There are lots of different positions. So the skills you would need for the art department is you could be a graphic designer, an artist, a scenic painter, how to build props. You might work in, festivals or events in some way, or in the theatre. So there'd be great skills to translate over to being an art department person. Excellent. So they're the 5 gaps that we're training for. And in a perfect world, out of that 25 new people and 25 upskilling people, it might look that we might train 10 people in each of those departments, but it all depends on the applications we get and how that works out.
Got it.
Yeah.
Great.
So the timetable, we're doing this quite quickly because there is that urgent need, and we are in a growth period, the film industry, so we need people now. So the training timetable will be from about July to September, October. It'll be part-time. It won't be a full-time commitment. It'll be approximately about 12 to 20 hours a week, but not every week. And it will be a mix of training that will be online and face-to-face. And I'll go through more of that in a minute. So, who is eligible? It's for South Australian residents only. Okay, so unfortunately not interstate applications. And like I said, it's for screen production crew who want to upskill, go from that 3rd to that 2nd or that 1st assistant, or they want to change departments, or for South Australian workers from those related industries who have those transferable skills like I just discussed in those 5 gaps. It's also for people who are in industries that have been COVID affected. Right. And we know that we kind of know who they are. They're events, arts, festivals, tourism, hospitality in particular. So this is a great opportunity for those industries that have been, really, really affected by what's happened over the last 12 months and need to reskill and move into a new work life.
Great.
Who is not eligible? You have to be a South Australian resident, so it's not for interstate applicants. I suppose you have to really ask yourself, do you have those transferable skills? And if you don't, it's probably not for you. If you don't come from those adjacent industries and have those skills. We really, really want people who are going to come into the industry and stay in the industry. So we really want you to think deeply about, do you want to work in the industry? Not just coming into the industry for a year and then going back to what you normally do. We want you to kind of be dedicated and show a long-term commitment to the industry. Full-time students are also ineligible, unfortunately, but part-time students can apply. And we also have other eligibility criteria in the SAFC Terms of Trade, which is on our website, so I encourage people to read those.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so please do. We are very committed to diversifying the crew roles in our industry, so we will absolutely be prioritising applications from underrepresented groups. It's very important to us in front and behind the camera that is happening in our industry, and so that is, as it explains on this, female and female identifying practitioners, First Nations called practitioners, deaf and disabled, LGBTQIA practitioners, and also people from regional and country South Australia. Okay, we really encourage regional people to apply. We'd love to see that.
And what about, Kath, if someone has access needs?
Yeah, please, if you do have any access needs, please come and talk to us. That's just a phone call and we can have a confidential conversation about what those needs might be.
Excellent.
Yeah, Great. So the training itself, we'll go into that now. It's a mix of non-accredited training and accredited training. And what we mean by that is non-accredited training will be something that's not a vocational education training. And that will be facilitated by AFTRS, which is the Australian Film, Television and Radio School, which is a brilliant educator of the film industry. So they will be providing some very bespoke introduction training in those 5 gap areas.
And they're related to each of those
Yes.
specific departments.
That's right. So the next slide, I think we unpack that a bit more. And also the non-accredited training will be, the South Australian Film Corporation will also be facilitating some training in consultation with the heads of department from those 5 gap crew areas. And they will help us to teach those courses. So the AFTRS training, this is the non-accredited Australian Film, Television, Radio School training, will be Production Accounting Fundamentals. That's an introduction course to accounting. The Introduction to Production Design for Film and Screen, that's the training for the art department. And Introduction to Assistant Directing, of course, is for assistant directors. And Introduction to the Production Office. We'll go through the many, many roles that also work in the production office. The South Australian Film Corporation facilitated non-accredited training will be, right at the beginning of the training, we'll do an introduction to the film industry, which is really about who's who, how does it all work, what does it mean to work in the film industry, what are the conditions, what are the hours, what's the expectation, what skills do you need, how do you get work, so that'll be facilitated by us. And introduction to the camera department, of course, also. And towards the end of the training, we'll be doing very tailored and bespoke masterclasses where the heads of department of those 5 departments, those 5 crew gaps, will come and run masterclasses. So if you're a new person to the industry, you'll get a kind of deeper dive into that role and those skills, deeper than you would have got with the AFTRS training. And if you're upskilling, you'll do what we call Stream B, and that's a deeper dive into that new role that you're trying to retrain and upskill into.
Got it.
Yeah?
So what you're saying is there's a Stream A for the new entrants to the screen industry and a Stream B for the existing industry personnel who are upskilling.
That's right.
And their training's tailored.
That's right.
Great.
Because there's the people in the industry will have some very good skills around certain areas of the film industry, but they will still need to be upskilled and reskilled in that particular role.
Great.
Yeah. The accredited training, which is the vocational education training, there's 3 courses, and most of these are online as well with a little bit of face-to-face. So the first one is Plan Small Business Finances, and that's really important because when you work in the film industry, you're actually a freelancer. It's not like having a full-time job. You're a freelancer, so you have to understand how to run your books, how to invoice people, how to keep your financial records, how to work out what your day rate should be, etc., etc. So it's a really, really good and practical kind of one-person small business course.
Excellent.
Yeah, which will be great for everyone. And the other 2 are Maintaining Work Health and Safety. That's a OC Health and Safety course, which is also really important in the film industry because a lot of the time we're working regionally, we're working in different environments, we're working either in studio or we might be up in the Flinders Ranges. So OC Health and Safety is very, very important in the industry. And then there's a first aid certificate. And some of us might have done first aid certificates in the past, but it's always good to renew your skills. And there's 3 components to that first aid certificate. So great to have a first aid certificate at all times, and a current one. The time commitment to these courses, the non-accredited and the accredited training, It will differ from week to week over the kind of 4 months that we're doing it. Sometimes it'll be 12 hours a week, sometimes it might be 20 to 25 hours a week, and there will be weeks probably where it'll be less than that. But basically with any training, the more work you do, the deeper learning you have. So it's about you being proactive about your learning as well. So the non-accredited training, which is the AFTRS training and the training that the South Australian Film Corporation is facilitating, that will be a mix of online self-paced training, and self-paced means that you can do it at your own time. You could do it on the weekend, you could do it at night, or you could do it during the day. The camera assistant training, of course, will be face-to-face because you will be dealing with equipment, and that needs to be very...
In-person training.
Yeah, in-person training. The accredited training, which is the vocational education training, the first aid, the health and safety, and the basic finances, also will be predominantly online, self-paced, but there will be times where it will need to be face-to-face. As an example of that, the first aid, of course, you can do most of the learning online, but you'll have to come and do the assessment. We've all done it with the dummy. So a little bit of that will, there'll be one day here and there that'll be face-to-face.
So it's sounding like a lot of the training can be self-paced and can fit around other commitments.
Yeah.
And then there's some key dates that people will need to be available.
That's right. There'll be some key days within the schedule, and we're still working out what the schedule is, and we'll release that soon, where you will need to be there for a full day commitment. But otherwise, it is part-time at your own leisure. So you can work, and you, of course, everyone's got family commitments, etc., etc. Okay, so you probably want to know how your application will be assessed. And basically the way we'll do that is we'll look at the level of experience in comparison to, or the skills that you have in comparison to the department or the skill gap, the crew gap that you're applying for. So we will be looking for those transferable skills that you'll have in adjacent industries. And we also want to know your short, medium and long-term goals for the industry, to work in the industry. We're very much looking for people that are committed to working in the film industry for many, many years. This is an amazing suite of training, and we really want people to commit and stay in the industry, which will help grow the capacity of the South Australian industry, so it helps everybody. We also will look at that diversity makeup, I suppose, in the applications, and we are definitely looking to train people from underrepresented groups, so that very much will be a part of the application assessment.
Excellent.
So in kind of developing this skilling essay program, we have thought about what is the pathway to getting a job in the film industry. So we have a bit of a kind of funnel or a pathway for people to think about. So in April, the South Australian Film Corporation, we did a technical open day where people could come. I think about 130 people came, and they heard from people in the industry who were heads of departments speak about what they do. What does that department do? They demystified it and spoke about the skills that you need and the specifics of what that department does and how that department works within the kind of bigger film crew. So we did that in April. Now we've got the skilling essay training, which is fantastic. But then if you want to apply to this program, afterwards you could also apply to a program that we've got called Master Apprentice. And so that's really, it's not on-set mentoring, but it's mentoring from the head of department, which will be a kind of deeper learning for you, and also relationship building. The film industry is very much about relationships and kind of, who you know and who will give you your next job, if you like. So the Master's Apprentice program will be calling for applications around September this year, and there'll be an opportunity for 12 people to do that one-on-one mentoring with a head of department. We did this program last year, and I think 15 went through it, and about 65% of those people have got work
Which is
already.
excellent. Really great.
Pretty fast too. So it's a really, really wonderful program we've got. And then we've got another program, which is our attachment program, which we do about 8 attachments a year. And that's a training wage to pay you to go on set for, approximately 6 to 8 weeks. And there you are absolutely thrown into that department. You get to work on a film set as a crew member and build upon your skills and build upon the relationships that you have built. I started as an attachee. It was a great way to get my foot in the door in the industry, meet my team, and then I continued to work with that team from film to film to film.
Excellent. So you would see that people who participate in the Skilling SA screen industry training then could go on to other opportunities.
They could.
Master Apprentice and the attachment scheme.
They could. Or, in a perfect world, yes, you could do each one of those pathways, but you could also get offered work at any time. You don't have to do that whole suite of opportunities. People will get opportunities offered to them outside of that whole pathway as well, but definitely the Skilling SA program is the start for sure, particularly if you're new to the industry.
To fast track your way.
Yeah, you will need to do it to understand how to work within the film industry. So the key dates, applications are open at the moment. All the information is on the South Australian Film Corporation website in the skills and training page. Applications close on Monday the 31st of May. It is quite a quick turnaround, but we are very keen to get people in training and out working into the film industry because things are so busy at the moment. You'll be notified quite quickly, so you'll be notified on Monday the 21st of June. You will be quickly enrolled in the VET training, which is the vocational education training, which is the accredited training. We'll enrol you before the 30th of June. We will do that on your behalf. If you are one of the successful 50 applicants into the Skilling SA program, you will enter into a very simple participants agreement with us, and then we will enrol you in the accredited and the non-accredited training on your behalf. So first off, though, we'll do the intro to the film industry day, if you like. That's the first thing we'll do. Then you'll move into the vocational education training. Then you'll move into the AFTRS training. And then you'll move into the 2 streams of the master classes. Stream A being for the new people, Stream B being for the people in the industry who are upskilling or changing departments.
Excellent, Kath.
And then after that, we hope and we will do a big networking event with the HODs that have been facilitating and teaching you during this training. So another great opportunity for us all to get together, more networking, more relationship building,
more connections, more introductions.
Yeah, more introductions.
Yeah. As you said, it's an industry that is very much based on relationship building and networks.
Very much, yeah. And so please go to the South Australian Film Corporation website and read the guidelines. Okay, so we've got about a 2 to 2.5 page guidelines there, which really, please read it. It'll explain everything to you, and then please give us a call. Definitely call us and discuss if you're coming from an adjacent industry, what you think your skills are, and what gap, what department out of those 5 crew gaps you think you'd like to go in, because we can really help you, because you might not know which one to choose, and we can kind of, go through that with you and help you find the best possible way. So please read the guidelines and please give us a call to discuss your application before putting it in.
And I think one of the fantastic resources that you've already provided is information about the roles within the department. So I think already we've been receiving a lot of calls and emails from people wanting to apply who don't actually understand what are the roles in these departments.
That's right. It's easy for us because we know the industry, but if you're new to the industry, you might not understand what an assistant director does or what happens in the production office. So we've got a who's who in the crew document on the website as well. So we describe each department and each role within those 5 crew gaps that we need.
So people should read them because they might not realise that department actually really suits their skills.
That's right. Please read that as well as the guidelines and give us a call.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Thank you, Kath. That was a really comprehensive overview, I think, of the program, which have done an amazing job of pulling it together.
Yeah, it's exciting.
It's very exciting, and we are getting a lot of inquiries already. So we have got some questions that have already come to us, which I might throw to you.
Yeah.
So people might not be sure how they can work out which crew roles would suit them and their skills. How do they find that out? Yeah,
like we said, first of all, read this who's who in the crew document. That will give you a bit of a better idea. I think the thing to say is that the film industry is actually they're quite practical skills. People would probably be quite surprised. They're very kind of quite normal practical skills that you need. But underneath that, you just really need to be quite proactive and be able to self-manage yourself, and be a hard worker, and be a responsible person who shows initiative and is willing to learn. The wonderful thing about the film industry is that you continue to learn throughout your whole career. Every job is different, every situation is different, and that's the great thing about the industry. It's really, challenging, but so fulfilling.
Yeah, and we have very generous crew here who love to train people who show that initiative, don't they?
We do.
Yeah,
we do.
People understand where they came from and who helped them, and they like to pay it forward.
Yeah, that's right.
Great. So another question has been, if I have past experience on set, but I've sort of stepped away for a while and worked in other industries, which stream do I apply for? Would you count me as a new entrant, or would you consider me as upskilling?
I would say you're new because you've been away from the industry for quite some time, and things have changed, particularly with digital technology.
Right.
It's the film set looks different now to what it did 5 or 10 years ago. So come in as new.
Okay.
You might still know some of the basic things, but you will absolutely get a lot of benefit from the training that you're going to go through. And once again, you will build relationships, and it's the relationships you need.
Okay, great. Great advice.
Yeah.
What if I'm already working in the industry and I want to upskill in my current department from, say, a third assistant to a second assistant, or if I want to change roles or department, do I have to do all the training?
You still will, and we encourage people to apply and come in thinking that, yes, once again, you've been on a film set before, you've got certain skills, but if you're changing departments, or if you're going from a third to a second assistant or a second to a first assistant, it's a whole suite of skills you're going to have to learn. So yes, you do still have to do all the training, and there's nothing wrong with doing some new first aid training, some mock health training, some basic finance training, and the AFTRS training. You're really going to benefit from it.
And I think it's worth probably saying how rare it is to be able to have that opportunity for training. People are often just going from job to job, and they don't really get that time to invest in their own professional development.
That's right.
So that is for people upskilling as well.
Yeah, definitely.
How about if I'm on Jobseeker or another allowance? Can I still do this training?
Yes. It's up to you to discuss this with your own job seeker representative. You should definitely have a conversation with them because it is a part-time commitment. So we can't speak on job seekers' point of view, but you should definitely speak to them, and you can say that you are doing a skilling SA program, but every situation will be different, of course.
So
every
it's
individual.
up to that individual to find out how it might impact them and their own individual circumstance.
Yeah.
Great. Okay, so are the job opportunities full-time, if I go down this career pathway? Am I likely to find full-time work, and how many hours do you have to work in the industry?
So if you think about the film industry not like a full-time job where you're 9 to 5, 5 days a week, you're what we call a freelancer. You go from job to job to job. And that might be back-to-back jobs, or there could be weeks in between where you're trying to get your next film or TV series. You're trying to get your next job. The kind of hours, the film industry is probably, it's long hours, most definitely. And sometimes it's 5 days a week, and sometimes it's 6 days a week. Just consider that the hours are long but fulfilling. And
would that vary depending on what department you might be in as well?
It would. Some departments work longer hours than others, unfortunately. But you will get work, but it's the thing is to kind of really consider it's not like a full-time 9 to 5 job.
So you need to be flexible.
It's different, yeah. You need to be flexible.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
If I've got experience on short films but I don't have any professional work credits, which program stream do you think I should apply for?
Probably come in as upskilling, because you may be a camera operator on short films, but you need to come and learn more skills because you want to work in what we call long form feature film or long form television. So I would come in, ring us and discuss it, particularly these ones which are a little bit kind of...
A bit grey?
Bit grey, yeah.
Sure.
So, but I think it's, you're upskilling. You have some experience in short films or corporates per se, and you want to make that jump into the longer form film industry work.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great. I don't have good access to internet or good internet speed. How can I do the online training?
Yeah. If you do have, problems with your NBN or not great speed at home, we can send you the recorded online training.
Okay.
Or we can discuss it with you, and we might be able to facilitate that you come into the SAFC and use some computers and facilities here.
Okay.
Yeah, but ring us and talk to us about it.
And probably my last question would be, will I be able to find paid work at the end of this program?
Yes, we absolutely hope
that's
you
the goal?
will. Yeah, that's the goal. Absolutely, to get you into those. That's why we've picked those 5 very urgent skill gaps to try and get people into those positions. And the skilling essay and the Master's Apprentice and the attachment program will absolutely help you get work. But I will say again that, remember that the film industry is about being proactive, building relationships with people. One thing we didn't say, the person who will employ you will probably be the production manager on
not
a
the
film.
SAFC.
Not the SAFC, and not necessarily the head of the department. The head of the department may suggest you, they would like you to be in their department, but it's really the production manager who you will talk to work out whether you get the job or not. And so, yes is the answer. We absolutely are very confident that you will get paid work, and this training will help you, but it is, at the end of the day, about you being proactive, meeting people, building relationships, being keen, being willing to learn, and, that will lead to your success.
Great.
Yeah.
Excellent. So if people have more questions, which they will have,
Yeah.
and if people are thinking about applying, which I hope they do,
Yeah.
they should contact the production and development team.
Yes,
Yes.
most definitely. And we can answer any questions or go through the application with them. The application is not onerous, it's not difficult. We do ask a few questions. If they've got any problems, just call us and we'll talk you through that application. Or if, again, you're not sure, where your transferable skills might land, in what skill gap, call us and discuss it with us. We're happy to have that conversation with you.
And people have got to the end of May to apply.
Yeah, 31st.
Yeah. Okay.
31st of May.
Great. Excellent.
Yeah.
Well, thank you very much for presenting the program to us, Kath. That was really helpful and enlightening. But
Thanks, Beth.
hopefully we'll get more questions because we want people to apply because
absolutely.
it's a really amazing opportunity.
Yeah.
Thanks, Kath.
Thanks, Beth.